right, bro. How you been?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm good. Not bad. Just finished work and internship and everything. So now I'm like chilling until school starts again.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
You were you did a Capital One internship this past summer, right?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. It was a good experience, but everything's over like online and all that. But
That
yeah.
makes sense.
But
I
I mean, you're
mean,
still working in person, right? You've been
yeah,
working.
yeah, bro. I don't know how to feel about it because
Yeah. It's like one of those
I,
professions, like no matter
I
what, you're gonna
I
have to be
like
there.
it. Like I like what I do, but the thing is, I hate waking up to commute. Like, that's what I really hate.
I feel
The
like
commute aspect
honestly,
of it.
I thought that too at first, but then after so long in quarantine, at a certain point, I was like, man, I really want to go back to the
No,
MTA.
no, that's what you think, bro. That's because it's a novelty. It's a novelty at first in the beginning, and then you just sit like on a train, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's kind of sticky and it's gross, and you want outside, and you never want to be in this train ever again.
But I mean, we've
That's
been taking
it.
the
Just
train for
feels
like our whole lives already. It's
that
not
is
like
true. That
you
is true. That
know?
is true. That is true.
It's probably because like you see everyone else not taking it, and then you're just like,
Yeah,
damn, what the heck?
that's why.
Why
Yeah, I
me?
know. Yeah, yeah. The other thing is like I think like some days it's just you just have really bad experiences because like I don't know, healthcare in general is a very people oriented profession.
Mm,
So
yeah,
how you enjoy your day is based on what kind of people you
that's
experience it with.
true.
And so like
Yeah, like
you get like the really like bad patients that are just giving you a hard time no matter what you do. But then like other
you
days you get
also have
like the
good patience,
really nice experience and stuff like that.
I think I mean for sure it's a trade-off, but I feel like for me, I typically would like a profession where you're talking to a lot of people.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
obviously the good
I,
outweighs the bad.
I think that too. But also you're like in an environment where it's not as safe as well in terms
Yeah,
of just like being
with
more
COVID.
prone to catching
Yeah.
a lot of diseases and whatnot.
You know what?
But
Not gonna
okay,
lie.
yeah.
Kind of lie. I don't know. I feel like I should be more worried than I actually am. Like I
Oh
got
no, that's everyone, trust me.
I got the nasal swab, the PCR test yesterday. So I'm waiting back on the results. I don't think I mean I didn't get any symptoms. I could be asymptomatic, but I don't think I got it. Hopefully I didn't get it. I got like an antibody test a month ago and that came
And
out
you didn't
negative.
have it.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
have it. So I'm hoping it's still negative. Or maybe
Loki.
it's yeah, I don't know.
I think for me, because I'm about to take my test in a couple of days.
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping I do have it. Well, not currently have it. Meaning I've had it and I'm gone with it. Like
Oh,
I'm
okay,
really
yeah,
hoping I
I know
just
what
have
you
it.
mean. So
Yeah,
you can
just
be
because
somewhat immune.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's not to say I'm gonna be careless and going out whatnot,
Yeah.
but it's just like I don't
Yeah.
like having to
I
like
mean the fact that
watch
it's
every step.
the fact that it's a novel virus, we don't know if you can get it a second time or not. Like what
Exactly.
there are cases of you getting it a second time. So like just because you got it doesn't mean you can't get it a second time.
Yeah, and there's different like severities too. But
Yeah.
I know like a lot of like I know for example like Dubai I think opened up like tourism is
Hmm.
like open, like, a lot of people going there. So I mean, places starting to open up that's giving me hope at least that is hopefully it's not going to happen again. You know.
Yeah. So I had this patient the other day, um, and it just reminded me of this because we were talking about like bad patients and stuff. I had this patient the other day. Um, trying to think what I can say that doesn't violate like HIPAA, but no, I can say this story. So she came in for a mental health related issue,
Mm,
um, alongside some other things like she had like some stomach problems and things like that. But she said she had like anxiety, right? And so she was sitting in the waiting area. Then all of a sudden she starts crying, um, and she's like a longtime patient of ours, so the staff we know her pretty
mm,
well. And then my coworker, she takes her to a room in the back, and she starts like talking to her and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, bro, I didn't want to see that. It's so sad
uh,
because she's a very wholesome person. She's really nice. The patient's really nice,
yeah.
and she like talks to you. She's really care. Like she cares about the staff and like just people in general. Like someone was coughing the other day. She was like, "Oh, you should drink some ginger tea. I heard it helps really well," and stuff like that. She's really nice.
Yeah.
So
Like a mom figure almost.
yeah, I mean, she's like my age, I think, or like a couple years older. But
Yeah.
anyway, she started crying. Then my coworkers took her to the back, and I guess I don't know, maybe counseling or therapy. I don't I don't know what she was doing, but I guess she was like talking to her to see like what was wrong, seeing if like she needs anything, whatever, right? And she comes in. I don't know what happened after that because it got busy, and so I didn't see her after. But then I see her either yesterday or the day before,
Mm.
or somewhat recently, and she seemed like really jolly, and she seemed a lot happier and stuff. And then outside, when I was on my break, I went to go to McDonald's to get like a frap or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I walk back, and I'm on my way back, and I see her like on the outdoor sitting area, like outside of Taco Bell, just smiling, eating her burrito. I'm like, yo, that's a very wholesome image. I'm happy for you. So yeah, I guess like little moments like that just kind of brightens
Yeah.
your day, you know?
It's like, yeah, I think when you have those career, when you're interacting with people, you kind of like feel for them as well. So when you
Yeah,
see them happy, it just brightens your day.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's
Like
definitely a pro. Hmm.
you legitimately like want good for them, and you want to you actually care about them.
Yeah.
I was interviewing Naveed Fitness. The other, you know him, right? Naveed Fitness.
Naveed, I heard of him. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
know him personally. No.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you've seen him, right? So I was interviewing him the other day. I don't know if this episode is going to be released after or before,
Hmm.
but whatever. This is, I guess, like an exclusive if it is being released before. But anyway, Naveed, for just the way he talks about his career, like he's a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I said in the episode itself, like he really puts the personal in personal trainer. Like he cares
Mm.
about his
I
patients.
see. Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
his patients. He cares about his clients, and
Yeah,
he like
yeah.
gets to know them, um, like what pains they're going through, why they're going through that pain. He becomes like a counselor as well as like a trainer,
Hmm.
and it's just super gratifying, I guess. Like just knowing that you're making someone's day better. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, especially honestly, even with your profession, like what you're doing, nursing, and even your side hobby, like for
Yeah,
example, like doing like podcasts, like you really have to, in order to actually get good content, make people feel like they're engaged and whatnot. You could kind of have to like care for them personally, or at least
yeah,
show them to.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've like been through a lot of guests and you kind of like realize and know like the formula of like how to be interested in like the
Pretty
topic.
much, yeah. I feel bad sometimes because sometimes I interrupt during a guest story. But that's because I'm interested in what they're saying, and so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want them to elaborate. So, like in my head, I have like the formula for how a good story should be structured. And so, when I hear a really good story, I'm like, okay, I really want the audience to also think it's a really good story.
Mm.
So I just asked them to like, hey, can you elaborate on like what about that, you know? And then we can go back to the rest of the story later.
I mean, honestly, going off of that, I mean, since this is kind of like a side or a special or whatever, you can, because I kind of want to know this, like, how do you, as someone doing like podcasts and stuff, like try to like know who to interview and kind of what direction to go to for each interviews? Because I know a lot of people like watching you do these podcasts, but like,
Yeah.
what goes behind it? A lot of people don't know that.
Um, like how do I get the guests and things like
How
that?
do how do you get them? Also, how do you know who to get? Like,
Okay,
what's your kind of formula
so
for
it's
finding
basically
this?
I have a whole Excel sheet of guests. Like it's between 80 to 100 people.
Mm.
And basically, these are all people that I genuinely am a fan of, whether it
Yeah,
be in personally, like I'm friends with them,
yeah.
or it's people that I legitimately like their content online. Um, yeah, so that's basically like I create that list, and then I pick like around 4 or 5 people to hit up at a time. Because obviously, if I hit up like 10, 15 people at a time, that's gonna be a hectic
Mm.
like mess to just like go through and schedule each episode. And then usually majority of the 5, like 3 or 4 people, will say yes, and so I'll schedule that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, in terms of like how I know like what to talk about, it's based on like who, like how much of
Yeah,
them I know. Like if a lot of their personality is online, then I can like I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
like which direction to go in. Like if they're very career oriented and they only show that side of themselves online, I'll I'll ask more so I can get to know them as a person
Mm, I
rather
see. I
because
see.
like their whole work is
Yeah.
already online, right? Like that's not. I don't really need to ask too much about that. I'd rather know like why they do it, what got them into it, like what else they do on their free time rather than just instead of like
Mhm.
their actual work, get to know them as a person, because I feel like that's what I like about podcasts, the personal aspect of it, right? Like just getting to know them as a person
I
and actually enjoying the human experience.
I think that's unique because I know a lot of people who do similar things like this. They would do it more for just kind of just as viewers at home, like just for the show. But like when you do it, like for example, when you do it, when you speak to
Yeah.
people, it's more like I just want to get to know them. Like I'm just trying to have a conversation. I want to know more about you, and that's kind of like what makes people, see this podcast, A Shady Youth, as something that's
I mean, hopefully, inshallah.
inshallah, hopefully. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
at
hopefully.
least from the vibes that I get when I watch, like
Yeah,
because I was with you while you did the SQ podcast too.
yeah.
Like I said, it's not just a show type of thing.
Hmm.
I don't want to just like make them say like nice things that everyone already knows and or
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. It's more just hey, yeah, I want to get to know you,
Hmm.
and things like that. So I think that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
I
makes
was
sense.
I was really inspired by this other podcast from the UK. Shout out, Buddy Wall. Shout out to the UK. So it's called Freshly Grounded. Have you heard of
Mhm.
it?
No, I mean I'm not super into podcasts, so
Okay,
I
okay.
probably wouldn't know
So
any.
Freshly Grounded is a podcast based in the UK. It's run by this guy named Faisal Chowdhury, and my goal, inshallah, is to one day have him on this podcast and to speak to him about how much he had an influence on me. That's my goal.
Yeah,
So
definitely,
inshallah that happens. But
inshallah.
um, basically, I've been watching him since 2017. He was basically the first, I guess like the first mainstream Muslim podcast on like the Muslim
Mm,
scene. Like he was like
yeah, yeah.
Muslim famous. Um, he gets like a good amount of views on YouTube, and he even hit like top 10 podcasts on iTunes once.
Oh wow,
And yeah, it was, he had a lot of accolades. He had like a lot of fairly famous people on. He had like Sonny Bill Williams from Australia, the rugby player.
I see, I see.
You remember? Okay. He also had like some big shot YouTubers, and yeah, it's never it's he has like a very diverse cast of guests that he brings on, like from scholars to like just
Mm,
YouTubers to people in the tech industry, anyone that can benefit, right? So I wanted to kind of implement that style here, where instead of it's just like this one type of guest
I see.
or that type of guest, I
Right,
want
like
just anyone that
you
I
want to
like
branch out,
personally,
definitely.
right? Anyone that I like and anyone that I personally benefit from, I wanted them on. Like
Okay,
even if
that's
it's just my boys, like even if it's just like any of my friends, like I would love to just talk to them for like 30 to a half an hour about whatever I
yeah.
want.
No, I think that's good. Like you're like primarily doing this for yourself, but you
Hmm.
also want to benefit others from however you can, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not like chasing after like just views and whatnot.
I mean, no,
Um,
that that goes into
I mean,
it.
sure, that's there, but it's like you're not gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna make a podcast because I want views." That like that's
Yeah, yeah, of course.
but once you put in the effort and whatnot, then of course you want to see the benefits of it. Definitely.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think what's also cool. I mean, at least something you can do. I guess once it starts going bigger is like starting to like travel and like go to places to actually meet these people. Like I know a few people who like take these to like a whole different extent that they
Uh
would
huh.
actually go travel and like meet them. And I think one that shows like the dedication you would like put into this
I
whole
mean,
thing.
for that SQ podcast, bro, how much do we? I consider that traveling based on
That
how
was
much we
good.
spend on that
That
Uber.
was yeah. I think for our case that was traveling,
That was
but I
definitely
mean,
traveling.
inshallah, I mean you can go bigger. Go to different states, countries maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Inshallah. I mean,
That'd be dope.
inshallah, right? If even if I can get like a revenue off this, that's one thing. I mean, I never
Mm.
wanted to temper my intentions in wanting to do this, because
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
everything should be for the sake of Allah. Um, but yeah, I mean, is it similar to like making apps for you because you work in the tech industry? Like, is it a similar thing
Um,
where you're creating it for yourself to get that experience, or is it more to like as a
I
product?
I think for me, when I started making apps, it was more just to build my one build resume, but also like my own
Hmm.
skill set. You're gonna get into the job force one day. You want to have something you can show people, like when you're applying, like, hey, this is my portfolio,
Yeah,
and but also in the future, in order to build like actual legit large scale apps, you
yeah,
want to you want to just get more and more practice. So
Mhm.
for me, I don't think it ever was the users. Like while I was making it, I never thought, oh my god, I want like 50,000 users by the end of like a year. It was never like that. And like you can also like tell like from the apps that I made, I didn't really put marketing into it. The most I did was make one post on Facebook, and that was pretty much it.
Mhm.
Um, what like I just wanted at least the people that I was close to be able to see the apps that I made and give
Right, right,
feedback.
right.
But yeah, but I mean, shameless plug. If you guys want to check out the apps, you can go to App Store, and one of the app is 99 Names of Allah. Search it up. The other one, I made a journal app. It's called Journal Wave. Um, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a journaling app.
A
Yeah. So inshallah, if you guys check it out,
inshallah.
let me know how you guys like the app.
That's dope. What? Okay, so I've known you for a while, right? And I know that this wasn't the go-to career for you always.
Uh,
Um, Spoiler alert: Hilal wanted to be a doctor at one point, just like many of
like
us
every other brown guy.
and
Yeah.
our shattered dreams and goals. So he ophthalmologist, right?
Yeah,
He wanted
that
to be
was the
ophthalmologist.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's an eye doctor. So he wanted to go into that, and then wanted to be in biomedicine, right? Biomedical engineer.
Biomedical engineering. Yeah.
Yeah,
That. So I think he
which
ended
is
up
pretty close to being a doctor still. And then he kind of moved further out.
yeah. So I mean, I can give you like the brief like intro of how all these career paths came. I didn't just like randomly pick it out of a hat and choose it.
Yeah,
In terms of being a
I mean, yeah,
doctor,
this is
like
important because I think a lot of teenagers are always super confused about
yeah, yeah,
what they
for
want to
sure.
do and like how to actually do something they like and like where to even start because there's too many options
Mm.
and like you don't know like what you're good at and like what you want and like you
Yeah,
know.
100%. That's something everyone goes through, and if you haven't, you will go through. There's no doubt about it.
Mhm.
Like, how do you choose your profession? How do you know it's the right one? Like, so for me, just to give a really brief intro, like the reason why I initially said I want to be a doctor before, this was like before high school and early high school. It wasn't the typical, most brown families where every brown dad just wants a doctor in the family. For me, it was a little different. Like, for example, like my grandfather and pretty much his father and his father and all generations before, it was a whole blood like the bloodline was all doctors, like my grandfather was and whatnot. And unfortunately,
Wait,
that
what was your grandfather's name, Hilo?
his name was Hillel. So hence, like I'm gonna get to it. Like the reason why they named me
Okay.
Hillel was because when I was born, I guess like my aunt and like my dad, like they saw some resemblance. I don't know how you see a resemblance of a baby to like a 40-year-old man who passed away ages ago. But regardless, they saw some resemblance, and they decided to call me Hillel. And I guess I was also
Your
tough.
grandfather passed away young.
Yeah, he passed away when my dad was like 3 years old.
Oh
So they
wow,
used to live in Saudi,
subhanallah.
and so he passed away in a car accident, and he left like
Wow.
6 children. My dad being the eldest son. Well, he wasn't the eldest child, but regardless, he was the eldest son. And like unfortunately, right after my grandfather, the whole bloodline of doctors kind of just stopped. So
Mm.
no one in my father's siblings became doctor. So when I was born, they were like, you know, this kid somehow looks like our father, meaning my grandfather. And so they gave me the name, but the thing is, once they already gave me the name, it wasn't just a name that they passed on. They intended to pass on like his entire legacy onto me. That now I was supposed to be a doctor too, and I was supposed
Ooh,
to be this
some
and that.
pressure.
Now, yeah, like it seems like tough and whatnot, and for sure, it definitely was pressure. But I mean, alhamdulillah, looking back now, that really, really made me grow as a person. The pressure that like my parents and like other people put on me, it, at the time it sucks because you're just like, man, why do I have to go through all this? Like, why isn't 95 sufficient? Why do I have to get 100? Like things like that. But the excuse that even internally, I also believe that like I have to be like my grandfather, and especially when it's someone who already passed away. Like when someone passes away, no one really talks about their flaws. Like they're just this perfect human being in their head,
Yeah.
and that's just the vision that they passed on to me, that you
Hmm.
have to be this person. Obviously I'm never going to attain it, but
Right.
striving towards it, alhamdulillah, it did make me grow. Now, like, how did it kind of shift? I think once we got into tech, like we started taking engineering
Brooklyn
courses,
Tech, our high school.
stuff like that. Yeah, our high school, Brooklyn Tech. So they made us take some engineering courses, and like for me, like math and these engineering courses like came to my head just like that.
Mm.
Unlike science courses, which not that I was bad at it, but I'm a person who typically doesn't like studying, meaning like reading a textbook and like
Mm-hmm.
memorizing all this. Like for
Yeah,
you, I
yeah,
know like you're doing nursing, you have to do that a lot.
yeah, yeah, a
So
ton.
like for me, it's not really my cup of tea. Not that I'm terrible at it, but it's not something that I really enjoyed. So when I,
Yeah, no,
when it,
I was the complete opposite where
mm,
I'd rather learn terms and memorize a bunch of stuff than like those a
yeah,
lot of those math concepts. It just they require a lot of practice, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, I didn't enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Every person's different. Like I know
Yeah.
some people, who wouldn't, but for me, I like the whole logical thinking, like
Right,
understanding
right, right, yeah,
concepts and
yeah,
applying it, like this whole mathematic engineering thing. Um, but even then, in high school, I kind of was like, maybe I should still pursue medicine, or at least give it a shot. That's why in high school, my major was biological sciences. So essentially, in our high school, Brooklyn Tech, when you get to your junior year, you choose a major. So I chose bio side, thinking, hey, let me check this out. I might, I still want to go through this route. And after that major, I kind of was like, all right, this really isn't for me. Not that, like, again, not that I was like terrible at it or anything. Like I said, I just didn't enjoy that whole like studying and like reading textbook aspect. That wasn't me. I always loved the math and sciences. But at the same time, I had an internship it was like a biomedical engineering internship. And once I did it, that's something I really enjoyed because it had the engineering aspect, but it was also related to like bioscience and whatnot. And like for my dad, that was okay for him to accept that it's about sciences, but even if it's engineering. So I did that for a while, and eventually the conclusion that I came to, even though I enjoyed it, when I looked at real life and like my career and my future, I saw that there really isn't a practical career in that field, which I can get at least early on.
yeah.
Uh, and that was kind of my major reason for switching to computer engineering, computer science, what I'm doing now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any specific incident that you remember that you kind of decided on that?
I think a lot of it was over time. Like as soon as I got into
Okay.
college at NYU, people have been telling me, "Yo, switch to comp sci because jobs and whatnot."
Yeah.
Like I heeded the words, but I was still like, I still don't want to switch.
Hmm.
But I think eventually it kind of got to me, and I started researching on my own and speaking to other people in the fields that I was currently in, and I was like, "Hey, man, like there." I knew for a fact I wanted to stay in New York City, and I'm like, man, there's really no opportunities that pays well that I can get right out of college,
Yeah.
in these other fields. So when I looked at computer science jobs, I'm like, wow, like there's a lot of jobs. Marketplace is still big, and it pays pretty decent as well.
Hmm.
Now it seems a little weird for me to say this. Oh, why you have to go after pay? You're supposed to do what you love and things like that. You hear all this stuff when you grow
Yeah.
up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to an extent, it's true. And it may seem weird like hearing this, but at the end of the day, especially for me and you, like we know, like when we grow older, we have to take care of a family, and we're
Yeah.
kind of the people that want to presume the major role in like taking care of the finances for our
Hmm.
family. So thinking in that mindset, I was like, honestly, man, it's not just about what I love at the end of the day.
Hmm.
It really isn't it. If you want me to put it to you bluntly, that's not the only thing out there.
Yeah.
You got to think about what makes the most money for sure, or what are you good at,
Yeah.
what's the job availability. These are all real life things we have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
It's not all rainbows and like do what you love and you'll eventually
Yeah.
work out. We have to think about it realistically at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah, of course. And there's the balance of, if you do choose something that you absolutely hate, that's one thing.
Hmm.
But if you like you said, you genuinely do like comp sci and other things like that. You had a vast array of choices that you could pick from, and you still liked those career paths. Obviously,
Yeah.
choose something that you like, but also don't make if the sacrifice that you're making
Hmm.
is gonna like impede on other aspects of your life, such as family, such as your personal time, and you don't think you can handle that, then that's
Yeah.
another thing. But obviously, like you said, we're pretty family oriented people, so that was important for us, like
Yeah, definitely.
career path wise.
That was a huge factor for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. But at the same time, I was also like, I had many other hobbies, and like
Hmm.
even if I'm pursuing this as a career, I still want to be active in like
Yeah. Yeah.
Muslim organizations,
Hmm.
things like that. So inshallah, that's keep myself busy, and then for a while, I would still like make songs and do all these like side things, which would still keep me.
Yeah.
I would still enjoy, but I know that at least career wise and financial wise, I had something set that inshallah would help me provide for like my family.
Yeah. No, that's how I always kind of felt about it. Like I went through like a huge array of things that I wanted to. Like when I was a kid, I also wanted to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to be like kind of a pediatrician, then they moved to neonatologist, which was, specialized in infants and
Mm-hmm.
infants with birth defects and things like that. And then in like eighth grade, I wanted to be a robotics engineer because I thought it was really cool.
That's pretty sick.
Obviously, I knew nothing about it, but I just thought it was cool to like make robots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then, so in freshman year, it's really funny that I went to the first day of introduction to robotics team, right? And they make you go through like this whole boot camp to like finally choose the members that are on the team and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, they literally let you know like if you choose to do this, you cannot, like, it's pretty much impossible for you to do any other club or team.
Yeah.
That's how much commitment you need. Because during build season, they're literally at school 6 days a week,
Yeah.
even on Saturdays from like 8 a.m. just building on their project.
Sometimes
Um,
they sleep over. I don't know
yeah,
if it was your year, but like I've
yeah,
heard previous years where they slept over the entire night at school.
yeah. So after hearing that, I was like, bro, I'm not really down with that. That's funny because that was the same day as the first meeting for MSA, Muslim Student Association, and you were the public relations coordinator at the time. And yeah, so I missed the first meeting of that, but then the next week, um, I was like, I'm not doing robotics team. I might as well join MSA, right? Just
You know what I'm saying?
like get a
So
club
in
in.
others, what I'm hearing, MSK was always second. Robotics
I
tend
mean, bro,
to,
I did. It was more of like it was more of like I had no idea what I wanted to do, and so I was
yeah,
like, hey, look, there's Muslims. It'll be easier to
and
pray.
then
So
wow,
yeah,
alhamdulillah. But it's good. I think similar for me. Eventually I didn't know when I came into high school like what I wanted to be engaged in, like
yeah,
where I wanted to go. So like I kind of have to feel it out.
yeah,
Eventually, like we all found like a home or somewhere like
yeah,
somewhere comfortable, like where we felt in a home at least in MSA.
yeah.
And I think for both of us that helped us grow a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to do robotics, and then after that, I was like, yeah, hell no. Obviously not. And then I was just confused for a couple of years about like what I really wanted to do and things like that. And like you said, we choose our majors at junior year. So I chose to go into. I was thinking like maybe just go into biological sciences, but I've always been the type of person where if a lot of people go into something, I'm less inclined. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like my inner hipster coming. I really don't know. Like like
You want
one
to follow the
example.
trend?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I hate the fact that it's more like I'm too good for this, but no, it's not like
Yeah.
that. It's just naturally when too many people are on board with something, I'm less inclined to follow that. Like with the recent like Avatar: The Last Airbender trend of like everyone jumping on the bandwagon and like loving the show. And don't get me wrong, that's amazing that that show is getting that much publicity because it's an amazing show. I watched it when I was younger and rewatched it like a ton of times. But then I don't know, just seeing it like get that much
Yeah,
like
that
publicity,
happens.
like I got less inclined to rewatch it. You know what I mean? And I'm just grateful that I saw it like way back then, like when it was first airing.
I see. I think it might have been a similar thing for me, honestly.
Yeah,
I when choosing computer science, one of the things that I didn't want to choose it for because of the fact how many people are like telling me to do it, how many people
yeah, I
are
get what
already
you mean.
doing it. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to just follow the trend. But I mean, at the end of the day, you do what's best for like you as a career wise. But also for me, honestly, I think one of the things why I get deterred from doing certain stuff is when I see other people already did it. For example, like something simple as like a show. If it's
Hmm.
a show that's been going on and like everyone already watched it, and I'm the only one that didn't. At a certain point, I'm just like, honestly, I just don't even want to watch it. Like,
Yeah,
if
uh,
it's already people watched it already,
I
it's
know
done
what
and
you mean.
gone. So I just don't even feel like starting it. So that's kind of like something that
Yeah,
uh,
I get what you mean. I get
keeps
what
me
you mean.
from trying things as well.
Yeah. So with biosci, that kind of I don't know that it kind of I don't know. I didn't want to join because of maybe that reason. Um, and then so I was just like looking at stuff that I was genuinely interested in because I was like, oh, it's like a high school major. It doesn't like
Mm,
it doesn't have to solidify what I'm actually pursuing in the future.
yeah.
So I looked at environmental sciences. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this seems cool. Like all the classes they had, and I was always like big on the environment and things like that. You know, like when I was younger, I do you remember Captain Planet?
Captain Planet? Is
Captain
that a
Planet, the
book?
show. No, it was a show.
No, nah, I don't remember.
Okay, so every Earth Day, our family we didn't have Cartoon Network growing up, so we had this other channel called Boomerang, and Boomerang was basically like all the
I don't
older
remember.
shows of Cartoon Network
Yeah, yeah.
put on Boomerang. So they had Captain Planet, and every single Earth Day they had a whole Captain Planet marathon for like 12 hours. And what me and my brother would do, we would we would always catch that marathon from literally the first episode. So we would wake up at like 6, 7 a.m. Not for Fudger because I was like 8, right? So we would wake up at that time on a Saturday morning or whatever day Earth Day was, and then we would watch it up until night. And I know it's kind of counterintuitive that like on Earth Day you're watching
Just watching
TV,
TV.
you know, right?
Sorry.
But yeah, I always, I don't know, I always like kind of cared about the environment, um, to an extent because of Captain Planet, like all the little values and stuff. Like there were a ton of episodes that were like really good. Not gonna lie, they were actually really good because it was about like a whole team of like 5 kids. They each had like an element. So my favorite character was I think his name was Wheeler or something. I forget his name, but they were all from different continents too. So one person was from North
I see.
America, one person was from Africa, another from South America, another from Europe, another from Asia.
Do they have like different
But that's
elements?
how many
Like
continents is
Avatar?
that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. That's 5. I don't think there was an Australian. I don't
Damn.
think so.
Wow.
But yeah, so yeah, they had different elements. So North America was fire, and Europe was wind. And then the guy from North America and the guy from Europe and the girl from Europe, they had like a thing going on. I don't know.
Oh, of course.
I guess like wind makes fire stronger. Maybe that's why. But
Okay.
yeah, so they all had different elements. Africa was Earth, I believe. Oh, and South America was Heart.
What?
South America was
Art?
Heart. Yes, his
It's like
his element was Heart, bro. It was amazing.
what kind of
So
South American?
yeah. It was hard. Asia was water, and I don't know if there was an Australian guy or not. I completely forget. But basically, they had rings like symbolizing their elements and stuff, right? And so when they would try to summon Captain America, they would all pull up their rings and would say, "With our powers combined," I forget the exact chant, but that was the beginning of it. They call out to Captain Planet, and then like each ring, like I don't know, something comes out of each ring, and then it combines to create Captain Planet. Captain Planet is like the superhero, like
What kind of
environmental theme. It was really cool because every single villain was pollution based.
so one is like oil and like the other is
Yeah, no,
like
exactly.
yeah,
One guy was like litter, and then another
yeah.
guy was like smoke,
Oh man.
like a lot of air pollution, and then someone else was like I don't know, it was I forget exactly, but it was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
And then
um
you chose your whole major just because of this.
no, it's bro, I mean things that you watch as a kid, they influence
Yeah,
who
yeah,
you
no,
are as
for
a
sure.
person, right? So
I get it.
i I was like, okay, I like the environment. I'm kind of confused on what I want to do right now, so let me see
Okay.
if I want to do this. And then I got really into environmental science. I really liked it, so I wanted to go into it somehow. And so I had like this internship in my junior, like
Yeah,
after
yeah,
my junior year,
I
like
remember.
before
Yeah.
our senior year, working with a wildlife agency kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was called Project True, and it was under the Wildlife Conservation Society.
Mhm.
And so we had like a lot of stuff. Like we worked with animals a ton during that internship. After that, I was like, I want to be a wildlife biologist. And then I looked up and yeah, like you were saying, it's not feasible.
Yeah, yeah.
Like immediately after college, a lot of the time you have to get a PhD.
Mhm.
You have to travel a ton if you do want to do that. Like it's less family oriented,
Yeah, exactly.
and so a
Yeah,
lot of these things are important to me. So I was like, okay, maybe not. And
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it goes back to a lot of like what you value, like what's important to you.
mm,
I think for those people who have something secure in terms of like finance, it's not something they really have to worry about.
yeah,
in that case, like, I'd say, go for do whatever you love, regardless of, what you're making. But
Yeah, yeah,
I think, for me, family was super important. Something where like I wouldn't have to be busy like 24 hours, or I wouldn't have to be 30 once I graduate, something
right,
like
right, right.
that. And I think that's why I had no issue kind of like switching away from like the home medicine aspect of it.
Hmm.
Like it wasn't something that I was like, oh man, like I really like this, but now I can't do anymore. Like that never went in my head, just
Hmm.
because I knew what I'm giving it up for. Like I value that a lot more.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, you really have
so
to
yeah,
like pros and cons, right? Like you have to see,
exactly. Yeah.
and there are the sacrifices I make it, I'm making. Like, would I be happy with them down? Like, would they be worth it?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, would I be sad that I had to make them, or would I be fine with? It's all up to you
Yeah,
at the
for
end of the
sure.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was looking into that, and I was like, yeah, this is like a ton of stuff that I guess I personally didn't vibe with, even though I loved animals. I like, studying them and things like that. No, genuinely. But then,
Yeah.
I'm a person that has like just too many interests, and like I'm very indecisive. So
Yeah.
I also really like history, right? So I was like, maybe I could be a history teacher. But then I realized I don't really like teaching. I kind of just like history.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really like
I
teaching.
think I'm a little opposite. I actually enjoy teaching. I
But
always
you,
saw myself like by the time I'm
okay.
like 40 or something, I might want to be like a teacher.
Yeah, maybe then when I have more wisdom and I can
Yeah, yeah,
tolerate
exactly.
kids for longer, right? So, then I was like, yeah, maybe not that. And then I was like the sciences and like learning about biology and other things like that. I was okay like with science. I was always okay with that. And then I guess like my love for healthcare kind of, it was
Yeah,
always there, but it wasn't like at the forefront because I always thought, okay, be a doctor and nothing else, right? I
yeah.
didn't realize that there were so
There's
many, like,
others.
healthcare is
Yeah,
such a vast field where there's so many careers
definitely.
out there: respiratory therapist, physical therapist. Um, there's there's nursing, there's PA,
Yeah, definitely.
there's a ton of stuff and there's all the techs and all the other stuff like that, right?
I think
Biomedical engineering, right? Like that's one
I think
example.
one thing you also get like a certain love for it once you actually do an internship or do
Yeah,
something that
yeah, yeah,
physically work in that field. Because
yeah,
like you think you can have a lot of imaginations of how it's gonna be,
yeah.
but
You always have
until you
to, you
like
literally have
sit
to
down
like
and work
put
in the
yourself in the
environment.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Gary,
yeah.
do you know a person named Gary V?
Gary V. No, is he a kid or?
No, no, he's 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 like a, those like motivational guys on like Instagram and
Oh,
stuff with all
yeah,
those like sound bites, like go for your dream and stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah, so
I know what you're referring to, but no, I don't
yeah,
know
so he's
him.
like a multi-millionaire businessman, and he has like a ton of these videos on Instagram, and
Mm.
they go viral, right? So he always says like, well, what was my point? He always says, uh, eat crap for a good number of years, and then you can enjoy the rest of like what you're doing, right?
What?
So,
Oh, I
yeah,
see. Yeah, yeah, okay.
you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
and he also says when you're eating crap, make sure to eat like a whole bunch of crap, like in different sectors, right?
Mm,
Meaning that like do a ton of stuff that you think you like, so you can actually know that you
mm.
like it,
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
because you don't want immediate
Yeah.
success from something that you don't even care about, right?
Mm.
So
That's true. That's true.
yeah, so with the whole nursing thing, I wanted to get my feet wet, so I I did like some side course when I was in college, and I
Hmm.
got like some certifications, so I could work at an urgent care, get some experience in that, and it turns out I actually do like it. So I'm like completely fine with what I chose, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure I get like more experience, and I don't think my educational career is really done at this point. I'll probably get a master's and or
Yeah.
something like that. PhD, most likely not,
I
most likely not.
mean,
But yeah,
honestly, yeah. For me, it's a very respectable, but I think just the timing
so much
that you
time.
have to put into it.
Yeah,
Uh, maybe like down the line, like once I start
yeah,
working, I
possibly. Who
feel like
knows?
okay, like now I'm ready to take the next step, maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
of
after that,
course.
I
Yeah,
think
it's not a priority.
yeah, definitely, definitely, yeah, exactly. So like we said, priority is like just making sure you have enough to like sustain a family. I
Hmm.
think like for me, if money wasn't a thing or like I didn't have to worry about all of that, I would honestly, I know this seems so generic, but just travel and like eat different kind of food. That's like my goal. Like whenever we go to like whenever we travel and go to different countries, like me
Hmm.
and my siblings would find random like street food. We definitely don't want to go like mainstream restaurants. We don't like going to restaurants,
Yeah.
even if it might not be safe and whatnot. You know, like because some of them don't have like they're not super hygienic and whatnot. We always just like going to street carts and whatnot and try every food. That's like our passion or
Yeah.
something. I
I
think
mean, you could do
that's
that.
how
Be
you
a
get to know
travel
each other.
vlogger, right? Could be a food blogger.
I'm not really a vlogger, honestly. Like
You
I
could
don't know
write a
if
blog,
I'm
maybe.
that
I don't know.
personality. Or a
Or
blog, you mean? Like
take
actually
pictures of
write about
food.
it? I see. Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's like someone like puts a camera in front of my face, I can do it. But I just never like. I'm not really like the whole, hey guys, like so we're here at. No, that's not me, But yeah, I mean, I love traveling and eating, so that's like my two main
I
things.
I've never traveled like that. Like the only places I've been to, have been
Like
like
Bangladesh.
in America, Bangladesh, and then I went to Umrah in Saudi.
So yeah,
But besides that, I haven't been anywhere else, and I really want to, just so I can, because that's what that goes back to like trying to like a whole different things to see if you actually like it.
yeah.
Like I think I would like traveling, but I don't know. Maybe I hate the commute, or maybe I hate like the plane rides, and I get like really sick and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I would like it though.
Yeah. You
But
never know until you try.
yeah.
I think more than just like sightseeing and whatnot, traveling it really like opens your eyes to so many different
Hmm.
cultures out there. Like for example, like some of these like racist people we see in like the West or in the
Yeah.
South, like I guarantee you they haven't been to over like 5 countries. Not even 5 countries.
Five
And if they
countries is a
have,
lot, bro. 5 countries is a
that is a
lot.
lot. That is a lot. Okay, even five. Like I guarantee they haven't been past like North America,
Yeah,
maybe like some
past or
Central.
past even
Yeah,
like their neighboring states, because
yeah, pretty
yeah,
much.
all the states are pretty diverse themselves.
That's true. That's true as well. Because I just feel like when you go, like I kid you not, I'm telling you, when you go into like another, like let's say third world country or somewhere that's very different, it really seems like a whole different world. It doesn't feel like you're in the same place, and the
Hmm.
social norms that we have now is not the same over there. So you may like think that what on earth are these people doing? But that's
Hmm.
normal, and like it's so intriguing to see some of these things, like the way they eat, just like how they communicate with one another, like the friendliness. It's so different, and I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that just boggles my mind every time I see like how different each place is.
Yeah, yeah. I think it really just expands your point,
Yeah,
like your perspective on the world, because then
exactly.
you realize like all of my opinions and stuff, like it matters a lot less. You know what I mean? Like because it's
Yeah,
based off my worldview, and everyone has a different
yeah.
worldview.
And I think like it's a huge like issue now where people, especially living in the West, we kind of feel like our morals and what our values are is somehow superior, that this is the standard thing, that
Yeah,
if
yeah,
someone doesn't believe in it or someone doesn't follow it, they're like automatically inherently wrong or they're a
yeah,
bad person. Like you go to other parts of the world and you see how different it is, and like how our morals and values that we think are supposed to be like the standard is completely the opposite over there.
yeah,
So it's crazy, and like when you go over there, then you internally feel like, wait, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I shouldn't be feeling like this because of how normal like it is over there.
yeah.
Like it's hard
One,
to give like exact examples, but
mhm,
yeah.
right. One really silly example is like with the whole COVID thing,
Hmm.
like how it started with a bat in some marketplace
Yeah.
in what was the place name?
Wuhan.
Wuhan, yeah,
Yeah.
Wuhan. And everyone was like making memes about like, yo, why would you eat a bat, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's but then it's like, okay, if it's part of their culture, then it's part of their culture, right? Like
Right.
a lot of the stuff, like if they eat bats or dogs, as the stereotype is. I
Yeah.
don't even know if they do, but let's say some people do in China, whatever. Like it's part of their culture. Like I don't it might be
Exactly.
seen as weird over here, but it's what they do, right? A lot of the stuff we do is kind of weird, like how
It
a
is.
lot of us are really attached to our dogs, and like a lot of the stuff of people here loving their dogs more than babies. It's a joke, but a lot of people
Right.
say that, like, it's kind
Yeah.
of weird to like Asians, for example, right? Like it's not really in their culture to like care about animals, or not animals, like dogs personally,
Hmm.
that much, right? So they're gonna see that as weird. That's one example.
I think the biggest example, honestly, is like the Western perception on like family.
Mm-hmm.
like how you treat your family, how close you are to your family
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot. Like where we're grown up, like I mean, not here, like back at in Bangladesh or like other cultural places, families are utmost important.
yeah,
You know, you'll have like 20 people living under one roof, and they
yeah,
like it, they enjoy it
yeah,
because
yeah.
well, to an extent, obviously, it's not always like
Mm-hmm.
happy, but the fact that you're with your family and you always have cousins and people around you, that's something that's normal.
Yeah.
But over here, people are strangers from their parents, and that's
Mm-hmm.
considered normal. They're like, it's normal if you go visit your parents every single weekend. That's
Mm-hmm.
so weird to think about. But over here,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think here individualism is prioritized more,
yeah,
whereas in other countries like back home, back in Bangladesh, collectivism or like as a
mhm,
community, like a communal obligation and communal responsibilities, those values are are
yeah,
promoted.
definitely, exactly.
They're a lot more there. So
Yeah,
I think both have their strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, there's a lot more differences, but
for sure. I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to every like worldview, but I
mhm.
think the issue comes when we I say the West has this a lot. It's just that we kind of
Yeah,
have this
no, the
idea
West
of like
definitely
we're
does. Yeah,
right, like that
yeah,
we are the superior, that our values are what's correct,
hmm
and if anyone doesn't have it, it's wrong. Whereas in other parts of the world, like they don't really have this notion. In fact, some people might even have the notion that the West is superior to us. Like we
yeah,
see in Bangladesh, like people are
yeah.
like they're trying to become more
Uh
westernized
huh. Yeah,
because they
exactly.
feel like that's supposed to be the standard.
Yeah, that I mean that's I think that concept is called American exceptionalism, where America, because it's the global superpower right now, like
Yeah,
everyone looks up to them for for pop culture,
yeah,
for
yeah,
how they dress, for what they look at, things like that, right? And so a lot of countries will mimic that. I
yeah.
think I think one country that's there's a couple countries right now that I think are kind of competing for in terms of pop culture at least. So there's Korea with the K-pop
Yeah,
stuff, and then there's Japan with
with the anime and stuff.
anime because anime is getting super mainstream right now, bro.
Yeah, yeah, it
Anime is
is.
getting really mainstream, bro.
Yeah,
There's little rappers talking about Dragon Ball Z.
yeah, exactly. No, for sure.
Yeah,
It's
that
it's,
were
it's crazy. I mean, it's even more crazy when you see these like rappers, which you think are like hardcore like gangsters and whatever, but they're like watching K dramas and I'm like, yo, what? Like, how did that happen? But I mean,
bro.
honestly, I'm more glad that they're doing it because like the fact that they're more into other people's cultures and like at least seeing and experiencing other cultures,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for
a
sure.
lot better.
I mean, bro, as someone that literally like got made fun of watching anime back because in middle school I went to a very white middle school, like I um and a very privileged middle school, like and to show you how privileged we were in seventh grade and eighth grade, we all got our iPads, right? We all got
Oh, what the?
frigging iPads to do whatever on in class. We couldn't take them home obviously, but we had our own personal iPad. We could customize them. We could talk, do whatever.
That's
So
crazy.
I loved anime at the time, right? So I had an anime wallpaper. I think it was like maybe Goku or Natsu from Fairy Tail or something like that, right? And so I was like on it, and then she was like, "Oh, what's that?" Like this white girl next to me. She was like, "Oh, what's on your screen?" I was like, "Oh, it's this guy, this character from this anime." She was like, "Oh, is that like some kind of Chinese cartoon?" I'm like, "No, it's like anime was based in Japan." And she was like, "Oh, it's kind of childish." I was like, "What the
Yeah,
hell,
what?
bro? What? We're
Guys are in
12.
seventh grade.
We
What do
are
you mean?
we are
What do you
we are
mean?
12. What do you mean childish?"
Yeah,
I was just like, there was so much stigma back then, and
yeah.
now I'm seeing like it's so mainstream now. I kind of love it. I kind of hate it because now I'm like these kids need
Because
to be
not everyone's
bullied.
doing it.
They need
Yeah.
to they need to get made fun of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. But I
Yeah,
mean, yeah. Inshallah. I mean, hopefully, I like the fact that other cultures are getting more popular here rather than like only our meaning Western culture being like popular in other places. Like every time like I watch a Bollywood movie and I see it getting more Western, it honestly like I don't know. I
yeah,
just feel something. I'm like, damn man, like I just don't want to watch the movie
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Because sometimes you want to watch Bollywood movies just to like feel the culture, like like
Right, right, right.
Indian subcontinent culture. You don't want to see people like I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
but you know what we
Everyone
all know what I'm
knows.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
We all know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was always like. I mean, I'm gonna put out. It was always a bit promiscuous and like weird. I don't know, bro. They kind of just do all this weird rubbing for no reason. Like I don't know. Like they don't kiss on camera, but then they do like a bunch of this kind of thing. Like why are you guys rubbing on each other? You know. But
Yeah.
you know, it's whatever. It's weird. And then like recently, it just got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Where like yikes, like this is worse than Hollywood now.
Yeah. No, definitely. I the worst is like when you see a scene about to come, but you think, oh, it's in a Bollywood movie, it's not gonna happen, so you just continue watching. Usually,
Yikes.
in the previous movies they would either cut
Yeah,
through it, turn the camera away, and just like
yeah,
hide it. But no, these like now they're like showing it. I'm like, whoa, like you get caught
yeah.
off guard.
Yikes, yikes.
But
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
yeah,
Um,
regardless, yeah, I just hope more Americans start to travel into like these third world countries.
yeah.
You're gonna learn a lot from there.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much, man, for being on this episode. It wasn't like structured at all. I just wanted to see like how it worked out. But yeah, thank you, Hilal, for
Yeah, for
being
sure.
on. Thank you guys for staying tuned for every single episode. Hopefully, every single episode. We're doing these weekly. Honestly, this might be a bonus episode. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. But if you watch this far, put in the comments. Hilal, give me a phrase to put in the comments.
Give you a phrase.
Give me a random phrase.
I don't know what kind of phrase you want. Like,
Okay. Put put Masjid Al Aqsa in the comments. Random, right? Because he has the Aqsa background in his picture. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, I hope you guys have a nice day.
yeah, Assalamualaikum, I guess.
Alaikum salam.
Da